If you're new to art and you want to jump straight into a coloured medium, these tips are really going to help you out. I'm Kirsty Rebecca and I create drawing and painting tutorials that are easy to follow so that you can create realistic and professional artwork even if you're just starting out. You may be excited to start drawing or painting with your brand new set of colours, but once you start, you become frustrated and confused about which colours you need to make your artwork look realistic. There can be hundreds of colours to choose from, and it can be really overwhelming to try and pick the correct colour. And if you're new to art, you also have to work out what techniques you need to use, what colours to lay down in what order, and how to blend and alter your colours, as well as getting accurate proportions and making your artwork look realistic so it pops off the page. I completely understand this feeling. In fact, when I first started drawing, I tried using colour first, and I just got so overwhelmed and angry at the process and honestly gave up on using colour. I only used black and white mediums for a really long time, and when I eventually tried colour again, I realised that all of the fundamentals that I learnt while drawing in black and white actually helped me to draw in colour. To save you from some of the frustration that I felt when I was new to art, I highly recommend doing some black and white artwork first before diving straight into a coloured drawing or painting. And don't worry, you don't have to use graphite if you don't want to. In fact, I actually suggest that you use your new medium and just pick the black and the white from your set. And there's a few reasons why this can help you dramatically before you start adding colour to your work. By creating black and white pieces, you can learn how your new medium works, how to blend the black and white together to make shades of grey, and more importantly, how to make something look realistic, all without worrying about your colour choices. Learning how your new medium blends and layers will help you so much when you start to add colour. Taking a step back and learning the basics of realistic drawing, like your proportions and your values or your shadows and highlights, is really going to help you as well. Colour choices are really not important when it comes to making your artwork look realistic. If you're drawing a tiger, for example, there isn't going to be a perfect shade of orange. In fact, I could use numerous different shades of orange, or I could paint the entire thing blue, and it's going to look realistic as long as my values are correct. It may look like he's standing under some weird kind of blue lighting, but it's still going to look realistic. And if you take a photo of the same person under 3 different types of lighting, you're going to use completely different palettes of colour to create those different skin tones in each photo, even though it's the same person in each photo. I personally like to add a lot of blues and purples in my artwork that weren't necessarily there in the original reference photo. And the reason that I'm mentioning all of these things is because your colour choices are really not important, it's your values that matter. By doing some black and white studies first, you're going to learn about your shadows and your highlights and how important your values are when trying to make something look realistic. It's much easier to focus on these important components without having to worry about choosing colours. You're basically forced to learn about values when you work in black and white, because you can't rely on colour to differentiate different parts of your subject. So you can't just use a different colour to separate like the nose from the face, for example. You have to use values to be able to do that. And working in black and white allows you to learn how to do these things without that aspect of colour being involved. Mastering your chosen medium in black and white first will allow you to start adding colours to your work with more confidence in how to blend, how to layer, and how your new medium works in general, but it will also give you all the skills you need to make something look realistic, which is actually those values and not your colour choices. If you don't want to spend hundreds of dollars on online art courses, then my Patreon channel is the solution for you. Are you struggling to make your artwork look more realistic? Or are you confused about which supplies to buy, which colours to use, and how to start your drawing? You can avoid spending years of trial and error, research, and frustration by joining me and hundreds of other students on my Patreon channel. From as little as $4 per month, you will have access to every tutorial that I've previously uploaded on your chosen tier level in a variety of mediums like pastel, coloured pencil, charcoal, watercolour and more. Not only are my tutorials full length, real time and fully narrated with clear instructions and explanations, but you will also have access to the original reference photo, a traceable outline, and a list of supplies including the exact colour names I'm using, so you really can relax and follow along every step of the way. You will also have access to the beginners section where you will find tutorials like choosing the perfect reference photo or starting with an accurate outline. You can use these short informative tutorials to help you along in my bigger projects, or you can use them to create your own artwork from your choice of reference photo. If you would like to view the entire Patreon tutorial library before joining us, I'll also leave that link in the description for you as well. Every month, I upload brand new tutorials to the Patreon library so you can grow and develop your drawing and painting skills and take your art to the next level. Why not give it a go and join me and hundreds of other students just like you by clicking on the link in the description below. It can be really overwhelming when you start to use your colours, so the next thing that I recommend you doing is actually just using primary colours. So just use your red, blue, yellow and a black and a white and create a few pieces with those colours first. This way you can start to learn how to mix your colours a bit better, because even if you have a set of 100 colours to choose from, you'll rarely have the exact colour that you need. So you'll have to learn how to layer and mix to get the colour that you're after. If you start with these primary colours and you create a few studies using only those colours, you'll learn how to make colours like orange, green and purple, and then you can alter the values by adding black and white to make it darker or lighter. And once you have a better feel for your new medium, how your colours layer, blend and mix together, and you have a good understanding of how important your values are, then I recommend doing some coloured artwork. And it's up to you whether you want to work your way up through the steps that I've mentioned, or if you're going to ignore everything I just talked about because you really just want to get stuck into your set of 100 colours. But either way, I do have an extra tip that will help you along in the process. And that is to check your values throughout your drawing. And I do this all the time when I'm working in colour, where I just take a photo of my artwork, turn it into black and white, and then compare it side by side with a black and white version of my reference photo. This will obviously take away the aspect of colour, so you can clearly see if your shadows are as dark as they need to be and your highlights are as light as they need to be. You can even zoom in on certain areas like the eye or the nose of a portrait, and compare different sections side by side in black and white. It just helps make it a little bit easier to really focus on your values and your proportions. Most people tend to get their highlights and their midtones pretty accurate, but it's usually their shadows that aren't dark enough. So by doing this little black and white value comparison, it can really help make your coloured drawings look more realistic as well. Choosing a decent reference photo is a huge part of making your artwork look good before you even start. And in this tutorial in the top left, I will show you how you can choose the perfect reference photo. So click on that and I'll see you over there.